Welcome back to the News Desk. Now on to our panel, who are here, as they are indeed every day, to chew over today's news. It's Wednesday, so joining us in the studio is the Labour MP for Slough, Tan Desi, seasoned broadcaster and political titan Adam Boulton, and the political commentator Isabel Oakeshott. Welcome, folks. Good to see you. Let's talk about those local elections. That's the big story going overnight into tomorrow, isn't it? There's so much going on. Scotland and Wales, voting everywhere, a lot of places over England. Red Wall seats, really interesting what happens there. Will that be different to what happens in the south and the Blue Wall? And, of course, Northern Ireland, which Sinn Fein potentially might win, which would be a historical earthquake. Adam, so much to pick from. Where do you think the big story will come from come Friday morning?
I think there are two big stories. First of all, what is the balance of power between Labour and the Conservatives? Because really, local elections are very important. They're about emptying dustbins and all the rest of it. But in the end, they are massive opinion polls, and everybody looks at those. And, you know, if it looks like Labour is really sustaining the lead it's had in the opinion polls in local elections, that will put the wind up. Conservatives may make Boris Johnson's position more difficult, and conversely, it may work. The other big story, as you say, is going to be Northern Ireland, where it looks as if Michelle O'Neill will be the First Minister-elect, so the first nationalist person who wants a united Ireland to lead Northern Ireland. Of course, they've got power sharing there, and it looks as if the DUP will probably come second, and Jeffrey Donaldson, our old friend, is already saying he won't share power. So that will really put Northern Ireland, Irish politics back into paralysis at a time when the Conservative Party, or Boris Johnson, is trying to make an issue of the Northern Irish Protocol. I think a very dangerous situation, but also a fascinating one.
Tan, it's going to be a difficult picture in England, I think, isn't it? Northern Ireland, obviously, the huge story there. But it looks like the Tories still feeling quite confident in the Red Wall areas. They're probably going to hammering in places like London. Partygate, we'll have to see how that plays out. Beergate, Keir Starmer's questions. We talked about that last night. But can I ask, you've been out on the doorstep today. Has Beergate come up? Keir Starmer's own party up in Durham. Has that come up on the doorstep?
Tom, Beergate has not come up on the doorstep.
Not once?
Not once.
How about
what has come up is Partygate.
Oh, I thought you might. I walked into that one, didn't I?
Yeah, you walked right into that one, Tom. But more importantly, I think, is the cost of living crisis. I think that's what people are really concerned about, is the increases in taxes, especially the national insurance tax hike, which kicked in last month. In addition to that, there have been 15 tax rises in the last couple of years, so now we've got the highest tax burden since the 1960s, along with the highest drop in living standards since the 1960s, not to mention that inflation is now at its highest point since 1992. So all of those issues are what is really hurting people, and in particular, many people are struggling to pay their bills. So I think the fact that we haven't got that windfall tax in particular will mean that many people will not be able to pay their bills.
Tan, a word on Scotland as well. I mentioned that. Labour have to make some gains, have to make some inroads there to win the general election next time.
I think Anas is that rebuilding project is going well. If the polls are to be believed, then we will be second place. I think also we should mention what's happening in Wales as well, wherein we, as in Labour Party, is expected to take many councils and is firmly in the lead there.
Isabel, your take, where's the big story on Friday morning? Will it be Boris Johnson calls to resign and challenges, or not this time?
I think the Red Wall is going to be fascinating. I think Tan's absolutely right. The only story really in town is cost of living. Of course, there's a bit of Partygate rumbling around, but this cost of living thing is phenomenal, and it's not going to get any better. We've had today the EU decision on Russian oil imports. At what point are energy bills going to do anything other than keep going up? And the question is, do voters think the Tories get this? Are they convinced that Boris Johnson, I know these are local council elections, but people will be thinking in their mind probably less about the local councillor and more about the national picture. Do they find the Tories credible on any of this? And I don't think that Boris Johnson's appearance yesterday in the TV studios and the Rishi Sunak issue with his wife being a non-dom have really helped at all.
And the ones to watch are going to be on that is Westminster and Wandsworth, because we've always read Boris Johnson today in the London press. He's saying Conservative councils cost you less. Now, if people are worried about the cost of living and that message is not striking home, that's going to be...
Funnily enough, that's exactly what John Curtis just told me. Watch Wandsworth. That's going to be the great...
And Westminster.
I want to squeeze in one final last topic. Britain will become the fattest nation in Europe within a decade, say the World Health Organization. We're third in Europe now. There's the table where we are behind Turkey and Malta. We're going to overtake them in 10 years' time. Tan, what should we do about it?
Well, it's really disconcerting because 1 in 4 people already are obese in terms of adults within the UK. We also have amongst the highest child obesity rates in the whole of the UK, and especially in Slough, we've got issues not just with childhood obesity, but with childhood malnutrition conversely as well. And I think during the pandemic, a lot of people picked up good habits. They were cooking more at home, so they were trying things, which meant that their diet was better. A lot of people got Peloton bikes and whatnot, so that was all good.
Yeah, but they were ordering takeaway
Deliveroo.
food as well.
Yes, so but that
The
has been
WHO were
outweighed.
blaming this takeaway culture caused by the pandemic. But Adam, this is an obesity crisis that's been growing for years.
Well, I mean, as the fattest person here, I feel I could.
Surely
Look, it is a problem, and in the end, the only way it's going to be cured is through pricing of food, which is, of course, comes to the cost of living. But if you had fat taxes of various kinds, sugar taxes, you could do it. I think the key to make that work would then be to use the tax money raised to offset the cost of living elsewhere. That is, if you want to have a healthy Britain, that's the only way to do it.
Isabel, in a word, is there a role for government?
We've got to be much more honest about this and start actually making being fat socially unacceptable. I'm sorry, let's be blunt. People are just too large.
OK, that is it. Time almost up. So let me give you quickly our daily social media roundup for the day. First, here's the most searched for thing on Google in the UK. It's Dave Chappelle top after the comedian was attacked on stage in LA. We've talked about that tonight. Second, the Elizabeth line after Charles of London announced it was set to open later this month. Sadiq Khan had a few things to tell me about that. Third, Emma Raducanu after her defeat to a Ukrainian player at the Madrid Tennis Open. The most shared topic on Twitter, May the 4th be with you, because yes, it's Star Wars Day, May the 4th, you get it. Celebrated each year by Jedi fans. And finally, take a look at this. As it's Star Wars Day, this clip from 2019 is doing the rounds vigorously again today.
Star Wars. I tell you what, I identify very much with the guy with the lightsaber.
That is the government's most senior Star Wars fan there, having a bit of a senior moment, perhaps. And